Davening takeaway, Likkutei Torah Bamidbar, Daf Yud Gimel, 13th page. This is going to be a bit of a longer davening takeaway today. Towards the end of this daf, very powerful statement on bringing the geula and how essential davening is part of that. The Rebbe begins this process by describing that in Lasad Lava, in the future to come, there will be a revelation from Hashem, the point where there will be no more hiddenness. We will see and find Hashem in everything and see how Hashem is involved in everything, including the world around us, including ourselves, etc. And the Rebbe in the Mimer describes how that process, even today, is shayach, it pertains to us. How? It says that if we are involved in Torah learning, Sefer Torah, properly, that can happen even today. And to understand what that means, there we have in previous Maimarim discussed this idea, and in fact mentioned it in different davening takeaways, that this level of Sefer Torah, involvement in Torah, is not just normal involvement saying I'm just putting in many hours a day in it, but it means that reaching a level of learning Torah such that, as it were, we have completely tuned ourselves into Hashem to the point where our learning of Torah is like we are just repeating what Hashem has said in the Torah, and we're then repeating those words in a revealed state in this world. So there's a complete bittul, assimilation or idea of connecting to Hashem in such a deep way that the Torah we're learning is directly connected to Hashem as he is bringing that Torah into the world. The Rebbe then says, well, how is that possible to do? Well, the way we do that first is understanding, and actually it's not just first understanding, there's a step that we need to take before we reach that. And that step is to appreciate, as we say in Davening, malchuscha malchus kol elamim, that Hashem all brings into existence all conscious existence as we understand existence from down here, from the highest worlds down to this world. We have all of this being generated through Hashem's kingship, Malchus, the highest level Malchus. And by saying that Malchus Kol Elohim, that Hashem's kingship is the kingship of all worlds, that everything is brought into existence and continues to be in existence through that aspect of Hashem's kingship. And so then the Rebbe even says directly at first glance, how is it even possible for us to consciously be able to identify Hashem as king over everything, so that we recognize in a real way that from Hashem's kingship, all aspects of all the created existences, as we again from down here, we realize that come into being because of that kingship, that Malchus. The Rebbe says that how we do that, there's a process, there's a system that Hashem put in place, that through our Torah and mitzvahs, we actually draw down the supernal will of Hashem. This is mentioned in many places, including, in depth in Tanya, that this Ratzon Elyon, the supernal will of Hashem, which is completely unified with Hashem, that is drawn down through our Torah mitzvahs. Now, this is related to whenever we do a mitzvah, we make a bracha. We say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvasav, and then we explain what that mitzvah is. That what we need to do then is take that, when we say a blessing, don't just sort of, run through the words very quickly, but understand what those words mean and consciously think about those words as we're saying them before we're doing a mitzvah, to be able to draw that Ratzon Elyon down in a conscious way. That we first say Baruch. Baruch means drawing down. Atah, the essence of Hashem. And that essence of Hashem has a desire, as we know, for dir v'tachtenim. And that kindness of wanting to make that happen and make it work is through the process of that Hashem, Havaya, Yutei Vavke is Elokeinu. And when we have that, when we have that supernal level of Hashem now becoming our conscious God, the life force and how we relate to, all existence, we become nullified, batul, to allow ourselves to fuse into that, not batul meaning, squashed and stepped on. Batul means that we now can allow ourselves to be absorbed and connected in the deepest way with Hashem. And so we're batul to Hashem when we say that, and then through that is we become holy. That we become holy through Hashem's mitzvahs and make that happen. And the Rebbe continues on and says that this process that he gave us, this power that he gave us to allow this whole thing of saying a bracha, bringing that down, doing the mitzvah, within draws down the supernal will of Hashem into the world, actually in a revealed sense, which is now allowing that kingship to be revealed, and then ultimately leading to that higher level of being involved in Torah right now to bring about the same condition as in the future time of Hashem being revealed everywhere. That power that we have to do that, he gave it to us specially. That's part of why we're called Am Karovo, where we're the chosen closest close people to Hashem. That is innate in our being. That's a system Hashem put in place that to cause that to happen. And how does that happen? That strength, that power, that ability to do that, because Hashem revealed, the way the mimer says is a very interesting wording. Shagila raz zel levenei that there's a revelation of this secret to my children, that there's a secret that's there that we may not realize, that but we've been told what that secret is, and by utilizing that secret we can make all this happen. And that secret is that inside of us we have hidden, buried inside of us, a love for Hashem. It's called the Ava Misoteres. It's hidden but it's in there, and it's a love for Hashem. And the wording of the mimer is v'tzarich l'haitzia mehelam elagiloi. We need to bring about a revelation of that hidden state, and that's through effort. And this is where each individual needs to put effort in, and it's a effort. It says yigias nefesh v'yigias basar, both a spiritual effort and a physical effort. There needs to be proper effort put in. This effort doesn't mean we have to overturn mountains, not that kind of effort, but it's an effort that is a strong effort that we have to put in to reveal this hidden love. How do we do that? We do that. Now, this is where the Rebbe brings in davening. This was fixed up for us already. It was already set up for us, the order of tefillah, because the order of tefillah brings us to a point where we can say we have mesiras nefesh for the oneness of Hashem in Shema. And when we have the oneness of Hashem, when we can have mesiras nefesh for Hashem, mesiras nefesh, again, doesn't mean necessarily self-sacrifice in the sense of dying for it. It means, and the Rebbe says this, the main part of mesiras nefesh is the mesiras haratzon, that we have to give over, as it were, make our ratzon batul to Hashem's ratzon, so that our will becomes Hashem's will. So now what we consciously think of as our will, what we want, is really what Hashem wants. And that's what it says in the Pirkei Avos that we're learning these days. It says, Batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzonai. We need to make our ratzon batul to Hashem's ratzon. And so when we do that, it takes work sometimes, but when we can do that through the Shema, and the Shema again is recognizing the total oneness of Hashem in all existence, completely, everything, where Hashem's essence is now everywhere, because it's all just part of Hashem. And when we can get into that zone and think and meditate, and this is where meditation is very important, especially in the Shema, when we say Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that oneness we have to realize and truly feel, not just say it and sort of leave it, but we need to actually make that the reality of who we are, that we now become a part of Hashem's oneness, to the point where Hashem's oneness is us, because now we're not separate anymore. It's not me and Hashem, it's just Hashem's oneness. And when we meditate on that properly, to make Hashem's oneness me, so that I'm now part of that, then suddenly we have a totally new outlook on everything. Our view, because our realization, our our consciousness is now Hashem's oneness consciousness. And we take that and we don't drop that and after we say it in Shema and then walk away after we taken off our tefillin or our talis, but we keep that zone, we keep that realization. After the davening, suddenly now the whole reality looks different, because now when we say we're taking Hashem's will and making it my will, because I'm giving up my will, so to speak, for Hashem's will, I'm making it batul, so we're absorbing ourselves into Hashem's will. Suddenly now the world looks like opportunities. What kind of opportunities? Opportunities for asay tev v'sur meira. That every now moment, our consciousness now naturally, when we're in that oneness of Hashem, is seeing opportunities to do another mitzvah, is seeing another opportunity to not allow ourselves to sink into something or get distracted by something that will pull us away from that. And so we now are in a zone where the whole world, the whole day takes on a whole new meaning. And when we have that kind of sense, the mitzvahs we do are fresh mitzvahs. Every mitzvah is a fresh mitzvah. It's not one that we just sort of, by habit or just sort of do it by rote because, we kind of do it. Just like sometimes, unfortunately, even davening becomes habit or rote. It's not that anymore. Everything now becomes a fresh opportunity. And when we do that, we are now connecting that opportunity with Hashem. And so nothing becomes stale. Everything becomes fresh. And the mimer goes on and continues with this and says that with that, we have, there is it's incumbent upon us, especially now where there's no base in Mikdash, that might help us with that kind of reality that will stick with us. We have, as it says in the mimer here, that the mitzvah of the tefillah, that point where we now have such an excitement for Hashem, because if we now sublimate ourselves into that Hashem's oneness, we naturally will unlock that hidden love for Hashem, and that love will now be open and fully alive and like a flame. It's burning, so to speak, not negatively, but very excited and warm. And so when we do that now, then we can approach the day, and at that point, our learning of Torah now takes on a different learning of Torah. And so we are finding that as an opportunity to be able to now connect to Hashem in that highest level. And when we do this, when we are able to unlock that hidden love and make it a part of us, the mimer says that is what it means tshuva. And not just any tshuva, it's tshuva law. There's two different levels of tshuva, as we know from a number of different places, but one in particular I'm going to mention right now is from Memvav. It was 1985, Parshas Vayishlach, where the Rebbe said that tshuva nowadays, this is back in 1985 already, the only tshuva that's really shaykh for us, meaning anyone, is really tshuva law. This is the tshuva law that we just described. Not just saying I'm sorry for something I did wrong, but the connection and bonding and reuniting, so to speak, with Hashem, so that it's alive and it's part of me, and my whole consciousness and the way I approach things is all connected with that. That is tshuva, and that's what a true bali tshuva is. And when we have that, then the ability to bring about the revelation, the high revelation of Hashem into the world in a real way, that mechanism has been put into place such that just like the mimer goes and explains, there's two different systems of flow from Hashem. One is what's called Seder Istalshalos, which is flowing down from step to step to step, and the whatever step it's at is getting what it can handle, and what's above it is getting more, etc., as it flows down. But when we tune into this level of tshuva, and we can have that mesiras haratzon in echad that takes us through the day, through all the mitzvahs and Torah we do afterwards, that aspect is called, that we refer to, is called kad iskafia sitra achra. And when that happens, then all the lights get revealed, and does not have to go through that whole process from above to below. It now comes directly here as part of that. And so we override the old system and make a new system, which now means geula. And so the davening is essential. It's so important to be able to have to realize that. And if I can just sort of end with this, that as we know from the famous talk from the Rebbe of Parshas Chayesara in 1992, and Nun Beis, actually, well, it's probably from 1991 at that point, but Nun Beis, that the Rebbe said that what we have to do is prepare ourselves, and the Hachlata Teva is to learn the Torah or in Likkutei Torah, and that is I think this is coming from me now, but when we see that mimer after mimer after mimer is talking about this kind of process in order to unite Hashem at his highest level with this world below, like this process is drive now, this is the process by which we will have this geula, and that connects us with the Yechidah Nefesh, or the Etzema Nefesh the Rebbe has talked about, etc. So we see the real importance of davening and spending enough time to be able to unlock these things as part of the davening.